to you by WorkSafe Saskatchewan is one of our partners with this, and it started a while back with the Young Entrepreneurs Group that wanted to get this started, so we'll just acknowledge them. And being as WorkSafe is a major sponsor of the Chamber, just want everybody to make sure you're being safe, and if you do have to leave us or have an emergency, just make sure you're aware of where you need to go. I'm Joe Bexon with PA Now locally, and PA Now is our local online news and information source. So we're proud to be a part of this as well. And yeah, we can help you get your message out, and in lots of ways on PA Now. So I'm glad to welcome Cody Demerais with us tonight. Cody is with us from the proprietor and brains and thought and all the thought process behind Limitless gear. And a little bit about Cody. Recently was awarded the Métis Inspirational Entrepreneur Award. So congratulations on that, Cody. In your short term in business, you've got quite a number of accolades. And, you know, you're also up for a nomination for the Sam McLeod Awards, which we've just learned that that's going to be announced in February. So that's going to be exciting. That's kind of been on hold. One of the first things that was canceled with the pandemic early in the new year last year. So, and also you cleaned up with some of the Bob Awards. I think you were our big winner on the Bobs this year, taking 6 awards. Best local owned shop, best new business, best author writer, best local boy made good, and which ones am I missing?
I think it's the best place to buy a gift for a guy.
Buy a gift for a guy and a gal. So
yeah,
very good. So that's puts you in a good field of people to be with. So good for you, Cody.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah. So Cody and I sat down and had a little chat, and so the story behind Cody starts a number of years ago. Of course, you're in your mid to late 20s. We won't disclose exactly how old you are unless you want to do that. And you've done well in your business career so far, and it all started back in 2012 when it wasn't such a great experience, but it was something that happened in your life that changed your direction and your path. So maybe just start us back there, Cody.
For sure. Well, I definitely have to say thank you very much for everyone that actually wanted to take the time out of your night to actually partake in this Chamber at 5. And thank you for the Chamber of Commerce and Joe for, you know, allowing me to be a guest and be able to share my story a little bit. I do value the Chambers very much so. So I'm glad to be a part of this. And I think, like I said before, my first one was Richard at Henneque, and right after listening to Richard, out of all the awesome things he had to say, I definitely knew I wanted to be on the PA 5 eventually. So thank you. But yeah, Joe, you're completely right. I've had amazing, fortunate, you know, good things that have happened with business in a very short time. But it wasn't exactly always that path for me. And to be honest, it even started earlier than 2012. Growing up as a, you know, an adolescent here in Prince Albert, I was definitely always looking for somewhat of a place to call home in a way, some guidance, or something that really stood out to me and something that I belonged to. Which that empty feeling that I lived with for a lot of years, I basically coped with drugs and alcohol for years and years, and just making quite a bit of wrong decisions, for years at a time, and being in dark spots in my life because I just didn't know, exactly where I needed to be in life. And that kind of lifestyle led me to, some pretty chaotic choices in my life, some choices that, the scars aren't even fully healed as of today, but it's something that I like to work on continuously, by sharing my story and doing events and, speeches for other schools and treatment centers and stuff like that. But yeah, the incidents and the accident you're speaking of was when I was 18 years old. I was leaving a house party at about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning with one of my best friends, actually, still to this day, one of my best friends, thankfully. And we thought it was a good idea to get behind the wheel together. I was driving, and I was definitely double over the limit. I mean, I was probably having a hard time walking, even, actually, how intoxicated I was. And, that's something I've lived very vividly for years to come because I can picture the exact scene. We ended up hitting a tree across from Kinsman Water Park on that S turn before they widened it, actually. And I'm sure, that crash was probably something to do with then shortly after widening that S turn. But we hit a tree coming to a complete stop at about 116. 116 coming to a complete stop. I know I had my seatbelt on, luckily enough. So my injuries were more, internal a little bit more with my PTSD and things like that. Where my best friend that was riding alongside with me, he didn't have a seatbelt on, actually. And when we came to that complete stop, he, his body weight and his whole, the initial force swung him into the windshield where he smashed his head pretty good. And I woke up actually shortly after that crash, the initial hit and initial impact. And I woke up trying to wake Regan up, thinking he was pretending to be asleep, actually. I still remember vividly trying to wake him and, push him and shrug him, be like, saying, Thins, Regan, you got to wake up. We got to figure out what we got to do. And then, trying to do that for a minute or so, realized he wasn't waking up. And then it came to a rude awakening that maybe he's actually really seriously hurt. I didn't know at the time because, of course, I just got knocked out myself. And then I think the adrenaline took over in my body, of not knowing exactly what was going to happen next. Then I passed out actually after that, trying to wake Regan up. And I woke up in the ambulance actually shortly after, screaming, strapped to a stretch board or a board or whatever. Sorry. Screaming, asking where Regan was and not knowing exactly what's going on. And then again, I think I worked myself up at that moment. And the adrenaline really got to me again. And then the third time I woke up was in the Prince Albert Hospital here, still to the stretcher, in I think probably emergency room or so, or whatever it may be. And calling and yelling out again where Regan was, and not really understanding what was going on. I had doctors and nurses trying to calm me down and stuff like that. And I remember my mom, I can vividly picture her running into the hospital and, pretty like the hospital room that I was in, sorry. And same with Regan's parents, and came to, look over me and stuff like that. And they were telling me that Regan was getting shipped to the hospital in Saskatoon because it was such a serious injury that it was a little bit better, more procedures and everything like that in Saskatoon Hospital, right? They're more covered with the technology and the tools and maybe the staff to take on a procedure or whatever that he had to go through. So, you know, he was getting rushed to Saskatoon while I was in the PA hospital. And that is one night that I will never forget the rest of my life. It's something I've held very closely to me, no matter what has been going on in my life. And it's why I like to do presentations now to high schools and elementaries and stuff like that. Because every time I get a chance to tell that story, it's a little part of me healing as well. I know it makes an impact for those that are listening at the right moment at the right time. Because if I had to go through that stuff, you know, that situation with my best friend Regan, no one else should have to, right? You should just be able to learn by my mistakes. And just like entrepreneurship, right? In entrepreneurship, they say find a mentor, find the one that made the mistakes first, so you can learn and cut your mistakes in half. You can just learn from that incident, you know, from hearing from me speak about it, that it's probably a road you don't need to go down.
So just maybe tell us, Cody, that, you know, it was a pretty traumatic incident, of course, and but Regan did survive, and you guys are still remain friends today. So
yeah, you know what, thankfully, so that was right before grade 12, actually, where that crash happened. I think it was like a week prior to grade 12. So that was that was a tough time, especially all the hormones and everything going on. And, you know, I definitely knew things weren't going to be the same for a while. And with Regan and his family, you know, I know that it was very unfortunate and everything like that, but I know Regan was behind me right from the get-go, that, you know, he didn't blame me. I don't think anyone blamed me as much as I blame myself, truly. And it led me to one night, actually, when a group of friends came and checked on me, you know, a few days after that crash. And, you know, and somebody mentioned, this is why I treat people the way I treat them now, you know what I mean? Because you never know when somebody's on the last straw or the last leg of life, right? All it takes is you to say one wrong thing to somebody and, you know, maybe they're done with things. But somebody mentioned to me that Regan was going to make it through the night one night. And, you know, that I probably didn't show any emotion at that time, you know, while there's 8 people around me at that time, you know, making sure everything's okay. But the one person mentioned something like that. I know that. And I just kept that bottle inside. I didn't know how to react and everything like that. So the moment everyone left, I actually picked up a bottle. I think I was probably trying to find drugs at the time. You know, I was spiraling downhill at that moment. And I tried a very emotional, drastic, you know, action that night. And I remember thinking exactly to myself that if Regan wasn't going to make it after that incident we went through, I don't want to be around either. Call it guilt, call it stress of not knowing what was going to happen next, but he was my best friend and I didn't want to be around after. Just basic sense. So I actually tried to take my own life that night after everyone left. I tried to hang myself in my mother's basement. I tried to hang myself with a belt. I remember hanging it by the rafters. And yeah, I was so close that I actually, when I jumped off that couch, I remember, you know, just being like, this is it. And I remember waking up the very next morning, not exactly sure of what happened in life what happened. But I remember being a little freaked out and then looking up at the ceiling, seeing the belt hanging by, still hanging up by the rafter, but half of it broke. So the belt broke right in the middle. And the other half was still around my neck. But I was close enough to probably succeeding on taking my life that it choked me out, actually. So it just shows you how close I was to actually succeed in that. And when I first woke up, I didn't even know that what happened. I didn't know if I was alive. I didn't know what the heck was going on, to be honest. But moving a little forward, I held that little story for years by myself, actually. I didn't tell anyone for years. I don't think my mother knew. I don't think family knew or anything like that, but one person. Now it's Regan, actually. I think I told him after graduation. Yeah, and I think he was the only one to know for a couple of years. And you know, after he was healed up and trying to put his life back together, I was going through high school and, you know, trying to figure out the things that I had going on in my own head and stuff like that. And we would keep in connection here and there and stuff like that. But one thing I value out of that whole situation the most is that Regan never gave up on being one of my friends, being my best friend. That is something I'll take to my grave, you know, with deep gratitude. That if anyone else in the world could blame me, it could have been him. And he never did. He always had my back with everything about it. So, yeah, I'm glad.
Well, that forgiveness probably helped, and that acceptance of the things that had happened probably gave you some strength that you probably even weren't aware of at the time. And it kind of ignited a passion in you. And one of the things that really helped you on your way was just a brief encounter with a total stranger. As we got to that, while you were still working as a millwright. And you want to kind of expand on how that came to be, Cody?
Well, to be honest, I actually started, the millwright trade after, because my mother's boyfriend was a millwright for 40 plus years and he absolutely loved it. But I remember, I think it was, a get together or so. And it was, like a birthday party in my mom's backyard where my mother's boyfriend, his daughter, was dating a gentleman that had his own clothing business. And, it started reminiscing about an old art project actually from grade 1 that I had, that the teacher gave us this art project, come out with your own label, your own brand, using, things that were personal to you at the time. So it was, hockey sticks for me and maybe a couple basketballs, I think, things that I was interested into, sports wise. And then a girl I was dating actually at that current time, her brother actually had a clothing brand as well. And, when it's kind of like that mentality, when you start looking at, or when you buy a white car, you see white cars everywhere, right? You actually start noticing, maybe, oh, this is a cool clothing brand. This is that. And for some reason, that grade 1 art project stuck with me. And I started to realize that, like growing up, I always sought after being, maybe a person that you kind of, maybe you hang out with, or, but you stay away from at a distance, just because my party and antics, I wasn't necessarily a role model growing up, drugs and alcohol. But, and I was also an angry person for years. And then even after that crash, I was even angrier, which actually truly led to worse addictions. And, I just was trying to find ways to cope. And when I initially first started this brand, I remember working on the idea, the terminology, the logo and everything for about 2 months when I first realized I wanted to do this. And I didn't want it to just be a t-shirt. I didn't want it to just be a hat. I was living in a pretty rough time in my life for years and, depressing a little bit. And I was a negative person. So I literally wanted to do the exact opposite with this brand. I wanted to do something that was uplifting, something that inspired people. And, when I was still coming out with a rough process of this, I would look around at, a lot of people I seen at that time, maybe not enjoying their 9 to 5, their Monday to Friday kind of job, their career or whatever it may be at the time. And I then realized I wanted to do something that inspired others to follow their own dreams. And, that's when Limitless gear came all around in full circle. And in return, as we stand now, I have a full-time job myself that I try very hard to keep up with at doing just exactly that, trying to be a brand that inspires people to follow their own dreams and, take a leap on themselves and live their authentic selves.
Good. So the brand and your story brought you to actually write a book.
Yeah.
Is it a children's book, Cody?
It is, yeah. It meant to be an inspirational children's book, actually.
So tell us a little bit about how that came to be.
For sure. I know one thing when I was younger, I definitely didn't see coming was being able to say, like, I was able to publish a book. Speaking from a guy that like hated reading actually in high school and elementary and all that stuff. And I think truly the first book I actually read was, a few years after high school, like cover to cover. And I just kind of escaped my way through high school with book reports and all that fun stuff, right? So, but at the same time, yeah, so getting back to that, it was just in the midst of closing down, I think, the store. I think like when I was up and running, I had the idea for probably previously 6 months or maybe a year or two. Sorry, no, it was about a year, about the idea of having a children's book about basically telling, what it kind of was like for my childhood story. So, anybody at a young age or so probably can recall a few times what they, what somebody, either like a parent or an uncle or whatever it may be, asked what they wanted to be when they grew up, right? Or growed up. Which, probably a lot of people can relate to that, right? And then, at a young age, you start thinking about like, what should I be when I'm, older and an adult and actually paying bills and everything. And so that's the whole moral of the story that for me, in the children's book, it gets brought up, maybe the young boy kind of goes on and sees a firefighter doing something with, a burning house, or young boy sees a doctor helping somebody. Maybe he thinks about being a doctor, things like that, right? The good, the good careers to have in life. And then it kind of, the moral story goes off where the boy loses focus and, loses track of things. And, which I did for years, but then gets in trouble with the law and then kind of goes to jail, which I did actually when I was 18 because of that crash. But after getting out, realizes you want to make a change for the better in life. And then gets his first box of t-shirts. And then the young boy gets asked again what he wants to be when he grows up. The moral of the story is, I want to be somebody that inspires others to follow what they want to be truly in life, not just a career.
When we spoke earlier, we didn't talk a whole lot about your incarceration. So you want to, we've got a young 18-year-old fellow listening in. So yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's a good question there, John. Good show. Sorry. But yeah, when I was, because that crash that me and Regan went through, I personally knew, after the dust kind of settled and after Regan was kind of getting back to health and, I was going away personally for this car accident. I knew that deep down inside before, things really got serious, I knew I was going away. And all of high school of grade 12, I spent a lot of my grade 12, I think it was like every second month, adjourn in court actually, and adjourn in court and doing it over and over again for the fact that I personally knew I was going away to the, the jail or whatever after this court was sentenced and everything like that. So I knew personally it'd be a lot easier for me to graduate high school first. I knew deep down inside that's something I wanted to do. And don't get me wrong, it was quite worrisome for me to think about myself going to jail. But actually, to get off topic a little bit, it's kind of funny actually. When I was 16, I worked at Harold's Family Foods. And there's a girl there, an older lady that worked in produce. And I used to go there to Harold's every day, to work. And I would tell her what happened this Friday or this Saturday. And I would tell her what I did and all the stupid things like that. And she flat out told me that if I don't change my life, one day I will end up in jail or dead. And, a couple years later, she's seen a spiraling downhill person that eventually, after graduation, I did go to jail, to the correctional. And I know originally they wanted 18 months from me originally, but eventually I think Regan had something to say actually about him not wanting me to go that long. And I think on his behalf, they lowered it to 6 months. So I served 4 months with good behavior. And I got out New Year's Eve 4 months later after getting sentenced or so. And I know Regan was one of the guys that came and visited me that night for New Year's Eve, actually. But just a little side note as well. My nickname in the correctional, as you can see, I'm fairly pasty, but I am a very strong Métis. My nickname was Snowflake, so that was a awesome name to have in the correctional. Yeah, something I'm not obviously going around, calling myself Snowflake nowadays, right? But it was Snowflake for a
while. So one of the things that I personally have been inspired by you is your ability to share your story with the crowd that needs to hear it, and that's the ones that were your age when this happened. So you've been able to take your story to the local high schools and some in the area. So tell us a little bit about that and how you'd like to continue with that.
For sure, Joe. And that was when me and Regan actually, I think it was a couple years after we started getting our lives put back together, or, he was healing and everything like that. And I was trying to sort out whatever I had going on in my head. I think it was Mad Canada, possibly, that reached out to us. There's and then Canadian Health Region here in Prince Albert. They reached out to us, or Regan's parents. I can't remember. It's been about 6 years now, so it's been a while. But they asked us if we'd be interested in telling our story, because I know Regan's chances of complete survival wasn't ideal. The chances of him coming out the way he is now with his own successful business and everything like that. And I'm pretty proud of that dude as well. But they asked us if we wanted to share our story with some local high schools. And I still remember our first presentation that me and Regan did together. It was definitely, I was definitely a little bit more nervous than I am nowadays, for sure. I remember we said 5 words each, if that. And but we played a slideshow that was for 40 minutes, I think. It was PowerPoint with music and exactly what happened, explaining our stories behind it. And I remember it being super powerful that I swear deep down inside, I almost dropped to tears, actually, because I still, to this day, deal with PTSD. I do completely. So every time I bring it up, unless I bring it up on my own, I have a little bit more strength. So these presentations that we were doing, the first couple were pretty tough. But I know Regan enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it, because then we started taking road trips together, to Buffalo Narrows or Spiritwood. We have done a few others, like Shellbrook, I think, together. And it was cool because we got a chance to heal together a little bit. We got a chance to tell our story. And it was exactly the ones that we were in high school, the ones that weren't really paying attention in classrooms. That's the ones that it was hitting home, the ones that could relate to having their own kind of issues going on, maybe. But it was those ones that were acting up at the start of the presentation, talking with friends. Those were the ones coming to shake our hands after the presentations were done and saying thank you for sharing and everything like that. Now, I started noticing a pattern, by the way, as well, that these presentations, yes, were rough, that we were doing. But at the same time, I felt a little bit better about life. You know, I felt like there was a purpose again in life each and every single time. And I started noticing patterns when there was a stretch of them. You know, I was feeling good and I got really enjoyed it and knew it was making an impact. Me and Regan both thought the same. And then when there was the sprees of no presentations for a while, I'd really get dark again, actually. And you know what? I honestly, with drugs, I started relapsing hard and harder and harder each time I relapsed. And it was, you know, a span of not doing these presentations again. You know, family members telling me that maybe I should go see some help for everything that was going on in my head. And, you know, of course, me just avoiding it. And then these presentations really became powerful because it was healing at the same time as impactful. And, you know, really doing these presentations meant a lot to me when I was taking my partying a couple years ago to another level where, you know, I remember my mom actually had to call the ambulance because she was pretty scared. She was pretty scared that I almost overdosed one time. And to me, it happened actually multiple times. But she didn't know that at the time. And started realizing that I didn't survive that night when I tried to take my own life or that crash to just kill myself with drugs. So really inspired me to, you know, take a full leap in life and go the exact opposite way that I was going and do more presentations, tell the story more, you know, follow into the brand even a bit more, because the one thing about my clothing brand is that it gave me sanctuary. It gave me a purpose in life. No matter how rough things were in life, you know, COVID, relationships, whatever, family issues, whatever it may be, it gave me sanctuary to, you know, something that I could do, work on any place, anywhere, at any time. And that's why I think the brand has gone so far to the point where it is now. It's because honestly, it has never stopped being by my side. Same with Regan, but it's gave me an amazing outlet to share my story, like here today with you guys in the chambers. And very glad those presentations started happening back in the day when they did.
Good. So tell us a little bit about your success and your schooling, how it got you on the road through becoming a millwright and through I think it was through GDI, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah, so that's perfect. So, as I said, my mother's boyfriend was a millwright for 40 plus years. And what I liked about knowing what I knew about being a millwright was that you're a jack of all trades, and you're a master of none, basically. And I know who I am, and I have a hard time focusing on one subject for too long of a time. And I thought that would be perfect. So I went to school for 9 months, 8 months, whatever it may be, in Saskatoon at SAS Polytech, and really started to enjoy it because it was kind of a lot of it was like puzzle building. You know, you see something wrong, you try and fix it. And I know that was a huge part of my life because I really enjoyed it for a while, until doing that for a couple of years where I literally almost got my third year after school. Like 2 years, I almost got my third year of millwrighting. And then I started realizing patterns actually in my life again at that time. So I remember this one shutdown that I went to in Yorkton, Saskatchewan. And I was a heavier smoker back then. I remember walking to a gas station by a motel that I was staying at for, I think it was a week at a time there. And there was this young 19-year-old that was behind the counter and was saying, "Hey man, how are you doing today?" Big smile on his face, asking me, you know, "What are you here for? Do you live here?" Whatever. And I couldn't give that guy a time or day of my life to, you know, even look up at him and say, "Hey man, I'm doing good. What about yourself?" or whatever. And then walking back to that motel made me realize that isn't who I am. It's not how I was, you know, raised as a social butterfly. I absolutely love people, like truly I love people. And I started realizing that like that must mean I'm not happy about something, you know, maybe it's what I'm doing right now. And shortly after, I think that was my last shutdown. And then a few people knew about my clothing brand, like especially in GDI and stuff like that. They mentioned this other program actually after. It was called Praxis School of Entrepreneurship. And the people that run that program are absolutely fantastic, truly. But so I went to the School of Entrepreneurship where you basically build a business plan from the ground up. And GDI helped me with that. And it was amazing because I felt like I was in the right place, right time, right moment, you know, where the millwright life didn't really catch on to me. Like I was constantly, you know, not getting things and not doing the best in test results and stuff, which then again shortly led me to getting tested for maybe disabilities and stuff like that, which I found out at the end of the school year I had severe ADHD, which is something I use for a superpower now with my energy, I swear. But sorry to not get off topic. Praxis School of Entrepreneurship. It was, I think, a 6-month program that from the start, you learn how to build a business plan from the ground up in Saskatoon. And I attended it. But at the same time, I realized I want to dive full-time into being an entrepreneur. And I remember actually when I made the decision to become an entrepreneur, I paid for the retail store that I'm in right now, actually on Central, where, you know, before I even started going to classes, knew when I was doing this actually. And then I started going to the entrepreneurship school in Saskatoon. Sorry, I'm getting off topic here. And me and Regan actually, by the way, we were doing renovations to make this place a little bit more presentable while I was going to school there, actually. So after school, I would drive back from Saskatoon, you know, a few nights a week and do renovations with Regan, or on the weekends completely, we would do 12 hours of, you know, renovations together. And so after that business plan was built and everything like that, 3 months into the class kind of programming and praxis, I kind of set out to get things running here full time. And I know their program usually is about like I think a 6 month to a year kind of thing where they want you like learning how to make everything work, you know, with your business and everything like that. And I know I was, you know, against a time crunch because when I opened, it was November 29th last year. So didn't want to open a retail business right before, in January, because it wouldn't make too much sense. But I know we got the store up and running in about 3 months compared to the normal 9 months to a year, what they kind of project. But it was amazing. Praxis was pretty good people, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I understand is it's a good mentorship program. They help you, with a mentor and helping you with that. Is that correct?
For sure. They also, like, while I was finishing the in-class project, you kind of actually have a facilitator where you have once a week meetings, you know, talk about how business is going, or talk about the pursuit of how business is going and everything like that. And it was fantastic because I learned a lot of things about business that I never thought I needed to know to run a business, truly. I learned actually that, you know, there's a lot more seriousness in financials actually than just buying products and selling products. That was a rude awakening when I was trying to learn how to, you know, make a budget and everything like that. I'm not a finer detailed person where, you know, I can write you a progress report of the next 6 months or so. I'm an idea person, you know, somebody that kind of springs to action and wants to do something right away. And so it really helped redefine those skills that you need to help run a business, you know, the smaller detail things that that's not my strong suit anyway, you know. But and then mentors actually here in Prince Albert. I had some amazing mentors here in Prince Albert, actually, and that I reached out to before I even opened, actually. Like, to be honest, Fred Matheson of Ted Matheson's has been an awesome help in, answering questions for me and stuff like that, especially running a retail business. Uh, one thing I can say is I absolutely love being a part of the chambers. Truly, adds a lot of value with a lot of experience, actually. And even Richard Henneke, me and Richard actually sat down a couple times, and he's a fantastic person. And I love learning business. Truly, I couldn't think of anything else, at the time being. I remember sneaking out of my bedroom when I was a little guy, like, in elementary, even, super small, sneaking out of my bedroom to play on my mom's, old computer. I think it was Lemonade Stand when I was like 9 years old or 8 years old. And in that game, if you don't know about it, you buy lemons, you buy sugar, you buy cups, and you try and run a lemonade stand. I didn't do it in real life, but I did it virtually quite a bit for hours, when I was younger. So somehow I knew, since I was a little kid, that business for me was just the right call. And I'm very glad I made that turn in life to focus on business, because as you said, I've actually been gifted with amazing, progress with the business. And I just couldn't be happier with how everything has worked out so far. I mean, shut down for 2 months when I first opened wasn't ideal, but I think we came back and, made it work after that. So.
I know someone had put in the chat, they want to know how they can get a hold of the book. And I think you said you're currently out of stock on the book, but you're looking at another print run.
I am actually. I just ordered another 100 or so should be in the store hopefully by the end of the month, actually.
Okay, so and I think Elise can maybe get that information out to the group on how to do it, or you can visit Cody at his store down on Central. So I know one of the innovative things you did prior to this holiday shopping season was you opened up and offered some space to some other people. Tell us a little bit about that, Cody.
Yeah, so originally the idea when I first set out was obviously the full storefront where, the products would be displayed and in stock and everything like that. But started realizing it would be really cool to, open up to other local entrepreneurs. So that came up with the idea of, having a local shop of local merchants and everything like that, which was amazing. It had some very awesome times working with other entrepreneurs. And then it had some times where it was a little stressful because I had a few people trying to tell me, a store should run like this and run like that. When truly I truly believe about running with my gut instinct. And back when I was younger, it didn't really necessarily treat me too well. But as I'm older, I honestly listen to my gut instinct quite a bit in business. And so it's really worked out for that. But now we kind of got away from that truly a little bit. My plan was originally to have 20 to 30 small businesses. But now, honestly, the brand is to the point now where I have a hard time personally keeping up actually with everything going on. And of course, that's in business. There's worse things to happen, right? But so I kind of got away with that, got away from that for the past couple months and really diversifying and, opening up the brand a little bit more, thinking of ways to expand it, So.
Okay. Just have a look at my notes here.
Sure. Not so nervous anymore there, Joe.
One of the things that I noticed that in doing some research, that you give back a little bit to the Canadian Mental Health Association. So
yeah, what?
Tell us a little bit about that.
For sure. And that's literally since I started the brand, I wanted to give back. That was part of me wanting to create something like this. I wanted something to be able to give back, and when possible and everything like that. And I've looked for ways for the past few years, even before I had the storefront, to donate to kids sports, or buy equipment for kids. I remember the first time I ever actually tried to give back. I remember when I was still selling merchandise out of the trunk of my car, actually, when I was going to millwright school, actually, in between classes and stuff, I was trying to set up a deal where the old youth care home that I worked for, we would buy some sports equipment for them, some like floor hockey pads and everything like that. Because I remember when I worked for that program, that it wasn't the best equipment. I remember like having to tape the pads on, kids or myself, whoever was using them. But so originally I wanted to like help kids in sports, because I knew when I was younger and I got away from sports, whatever be the reason, maybe I couldn't afford it at the time or whatever it may be, I'd get myself in more trouble, actually. So I knew I should have stayed busy and stuff like that. And I thought that was a very strong message. And then I started realizing I have a lot of stuff going on with my own kind of, past, especially that crash. It left a lot of scars, like I said, that I'm still trying to this day to heal a little bit. So the mental health, PTSD and stuff like that has been very important to me, because I've treated people that I've cared deeply about not the way that they should be treated in the past. Treated myself in ways that I should not treat myself in the past, right? So I started realizing that there's something to be said about that I know I'm not that person. And so I started looking into ways that giving back to, mental health, basically. And I didn't want to just find a website, online and just send some money order or whatever, right? I wanted to do it as local as possible, because this is my community as Prince Albert, right? And I wanted to do it as local as possible. So I found out we have a Canadian Mental Health Association right here in Prince Albert, Doug Kennar, which was one of your guys' speakers as well, right? And I came up with the idea that donate about $500 to, that organization, because it's something that, is close to my heart. And actually, truly, not to give too many things out, but you guys are, it's not like over a few thousand people on this, right? So actually the Prince Albert firefighters were just in here right before we started this, dropping off some t-shirts that we're actually going to sell for a fundraiser actually coming up soon as well, to bring a little give back to PTSD, actually. And I know a lot of the guys at the firehouse have been pretty excited for these t-shirts. I know it's been a process, but all the profits are going to go back to Canadian Mental Health Organization right here in Prince Albert. So I'm pretty excited for that as well, actually. That's coming up hopefully tomorrow, if we can set that up. But yeah.
Well, Cody, it's getting close to wrap up time here. So I'll just ask if anybody has got any other questions. They can maybe just ask a couple of questions and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I didn't mean to take up the whole time or so.
No. That's
No, I really enjoyed it.
Good. John, you got a question?
First off, I want to thank Cody for his courage to share his story with us. I think that when we live through dark experiences, we want to put those so far behind us that it's the last thing that anybody ever would feel comfortable in sharing with others. And so I really commend you on your courage, Cody. My question is, as you went through these experiences of addictions and depression, or the challenges that you were, the state that you were in mentally, and overcoming that mistake, what could have happened? Or I heard you talk about the different supports that were available for you, and the other community leaders that reached out and were there to help you to help lift you up. As the representative of the police service, what could we have done differently to support somebody that was going through what you experienced? How did the experience with police shape you going forward and trying to overcome these different challenges?
Well, thank you, Chief Bergen. And I really, again, thank you for taking the time and, you know, the feedback about how everything has been presented and everything like that. But to be honest, I didn't have one bad recollection of Prince Albert Police with me. You know what? I had actually guys on the force tell me, you know what, they screwed up when they were younger. And a few guys have, right? No one's perfect. But I had a few guys on the force, you know, especially when I came in to give my fingerprints and stuff like that, you know, telling me like, man, hang in there. Like we're kind of like, you know, hoping you don't go down a path or whatever, right? And I even remember a couple of guys helping me out here and there and talking with me at certain times. I'm not going to exactly bring up the exact details, but it was pretty powerful for an officer of the law to, even though I screwed up over and over again, to actually, you know, be willing to have a quick chat. And you know what, even a lot of officers now actually have came into the store. And it's funny because I was actually in high school. I remember people, you know, talking about the stupid things that I did in high school on Friday night or Saturday night, whatever it may be. And, you know, people talking about that school Mondays and stuff like that. To now, to, you know, where I'm a little bit older, as you mentioned before, Chief Bergen, sitting just at a table with you just the other day, actually talking about how we can get more Métis youth, you know, kind of in the right direction with the police force as well and stuff like that. It's just, it's really it's really funny how life has came, you know, full circle from being the person that I was, you know, once before to, you know, having the police chief here, right? You know, listening to the story. So I do commend the police of City of Prince Albert, you know, not taking it too hard on me when I, you know, was going through that stuff. So I do respect that for sure. And I'm glad to be where I'm at now, especially, you know, being on a part of things with the police, the chambers. I'm just excited to see where things go from, you know, moving forward.
Thank you for that, Cody. I look forward to seeing what you have to offer the community, because I know you're going to offer great things, and I look forward to working with you. And I know that we share some goals that we're going to be able to achieve. And so, again, thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, Cody, this question comes from Crystal, and she has stated, it sounds like you have a wonderful support network to have helped you get through everything that you've been through. What do you suggest to young people who might end up in a bad situation from a choice they've made, and who they should reach out to if they don't have that strong support?
You know what, at a young age, yes, very important, because all the hormones, all the, you know, things in life that seem like they will not overcome, right, eventually. One thing I do have to say to any young youth or anybody of any age, literally do not give up in life, because truly, you know, if I would have succeeded in taking my own life that one night, I wouldn't be here in front of you guys today. And, you know, I wouldn't have the, you know, amazing community support, the accolades and stuff that the business was able to get. I wouldn't be with my significant other that I truly care about, you know, if it all would have succeeded the night when I tried to take my own life, truly. So like literally, one thing my mom used to tell me growing up was life's like a roller coaster. Literally, you'll have your highs, you'll have your lows. But at the same time, if you got a few lows in a row, you can expect that high coming, right? Because you know what? No roller coaster stays just riding too low for too long. But there is amazing supports out there, you know, like the Canadian Mental Health Association, addiction services, counselors at schools, you know, I mean, even literally friends or family. I know one thing for me is I kept a lot of stuff to myself for years, and that's what was damaging the most until I became my authentic self. until I shared my story. Yes, it was hard at a lot of times, you know, even today. It was a little hard telling a couple of these parts of the story, but, you know, I managed, I pushed over that obstacle, you know, and I'm glad I did because I feel 110 right now. And one thing I can say is don't give up and look for your purpose. Like I said, my purpose right now is I love making an impact. I love inspiring people. I love motivating people with my story so they don't have to live that, you know, and I love doing that through my clothing brand or speaking to high schools and elementaries. So it's something that helped, you know, me grow as a person and make an impact for others. So as soon as you find that, kind of go with it and don't ever be scared to find your authentic self and be that authentic self.
Good. Well, that's a good message for us all to take with us here. So I see we have one more question from Ashley. So as an entrepreneur, you've been through startup phase of business. Can you comment on the reality of planning from scratch? It may inspire others to start.
For sure. And I do see Richard mention a comment too. I'd love to not leave Richard in the dust, you know, after. I know it's kind of tough to see the chat box, but I would love to touch on that subject. Yeah, so going to Praxis, that was a great ordeal for me because, like I said, I learned how to redefine my, you know, skills of an entrepreneur. You know, like I never thought I'd be doing bookkeeping. I hated stuff like that back in high school, elementary. All my classes of math and English and everything were 50s. And if they were 54, I was lucky, you know. But, you know, when I could do things in person or on hand, like a welder, you know, I think I won the first award actually for welding that Carlton ever gave out. So I had strengths of doing things like on hands. But one thing I have to say is that in my business plan, not a single place did I have the word pandemic, literally, right? So it was not an option in my business plan. And it's, you can't prepare for that, right? You can't. I think that one of the things that helped me out so much in running a business was just being so brand new and always learning and always adapting that, like, every single day, I swear I learn in business. And one of the biggest things that I told myself right before I took the full leap in life and running the business and running the store was that I told my mom that I would gladly go bankrupt and know I put everything into this store. I told my mom that word for word. I liquidated everything I had. I sold a trailer that I had. I took out every single RSP that I had, literally, to just open up this store. And I told myself that, like, I'm just going to go for it. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And I remember literally in my cash box under my till right now, I have like $100 receipt for my business bank account that like a week prior to opening the store. And I'm not gonna lie, I was scared completely that like, that's not enough to cover any bills really. And I was like, we're in it. Yeah. But I've literally never looked back from the moment I took a leap, because the most stressful I've been with the business and everything that's gone on, I've been the happiest still. I've been the happiest because I'm doing something that I believe in, that I believe is, you know, something I truly love doing. And I think it shows, you know, I think it shows of how the community's reacted to it and how the community's taken on to the brand themselves. Truly, I think honestly, why not? Why not give it a go? Like, I would have regretted this more than anything when I looked back on, you know, life years down the line. And if I would have made the decision that like, no, I'm probably not going to do that, I would have regretted that more than going like completely broke and, you know, not being able to pay for bills or whatever, bankrupt, whatever it may be. I would have regretted that more, you know, if I never did it, right? Or whatever it may be, sorry. That's all I'll just say, just go for it, truly.
Elise, do you want to read Richard's comment in the chat, and you can see it there.
Thank you so much, Cody, for sharing your story, but also sharing it wherever you can, as your story is relevant to so many of our youth and even with many adults. Please keep up the amazing and good work, and remember to always stay strong, stay limitless.
That's powerful.
Comment, Richard. Cody?
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Like I said, you guys kind of put me on the spot a little bit when this thing first started. Oh, I can't wait to hear your story. And I was like, okay, well, you got, a few people here saying the same thing about the story and everything. But the thing that I love the most about everything is that, like, I didn't go to sales training. I didn't learn how to sell a t-shirt to anybody. I'm just truly doing what I kind of believe in, living my authentic self. And like I said, sharing that story, with people and everything like that. Who didn't grow up watching, movies like Miracle or Magic, the Cinderella stories, right? The ones that like would empower you to want to do something with your life in the end. I was a little kid watching those shows, and for some reason those always stayed with me. And I remember, after surviving on the other side of all that crap that I went through, I remember wanting to have that impact on others. I remember wanting to inspire people. I remember wanting to pull people out of a hole that they were in if I was able to. So thank you for letting me share again.
Well, that's awesome, Cody. So if anybody wants to hear a little bit more from Cody or do that, he'd love to have you walk through his door down on Central and come and see him and see what he's got to offer there. So thanks a lot for being with us tonight, Cody, and thanks everyone for attending. And next coming up, is it the 14th of February? Elise, Sherry Buckler will be our guest from the Victoria Hospital Foundation.
I think it's the 11th of February, because if we're here on the 14th, I've done a really bad job of training because I don't want to be in your Valentine's dinner that you should be taking out your partners or whatever. So our next PA at 5 is Sherry Buckler with Victoria Hospital Foundation on the 11th of February. And on the 25th, if you tune into our Prince Albert Chamber channel on YouTube, you will be able to find out if Cody is the recipient of the Young Entrepreneur Award. He has been patiently waiting for 10 months on this, and we're finally going to do the revealing. There is no cost to anybody to watch it. We're just so thrilled that we finally get to put it out there. So,
not gonna lie, it feels like it's been like 10 years to just. I don't care if I lost. Just tell me if I lost. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Looking forward to that for sure.
All right. Well, good night, everyone. Thanks.
Good night, everyone.